I am Reed. I am 27, just an average dude. IV made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. So let me tell you something that might surprise you. I went to college, I got a degree, I landed a good job as a software developer right after graduation. On paper, it looks like I did everything right. Like I am the poster boy for the go-to college, get a degree, get a good job path. But here's the thing. If I had to do it all over again, knowing what I know now, I am not sure I would make the same choice. And that is not because I regret where I am today. It is because I see so clearly now how broken the system really is and how much it cost me both in money and time. Let me take you back to when I was 18 years old. I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life. None, zero. I was just a kid who got told over and over again by my parents, my teachers, my guidance counselors, and pretty much every adult in my life that college was the only way to be successful and make money. It was Tia's suggestion, it was a command, it was the default expectation. So I did what I was told. I picked a random major. I chose chemistry simply because that is what my dad studied. No joke. I literally picked my entire future based on what my father did in college. I gave zero thought to how much money I'd be making after graduation. I didn't think about whether grad school would be necessary. I didn't look at job market trends or starting salaries or loan repayment timelines. Nobody sat me down and warned me about the potential pitfalls. Nobody told me that I could be signing up for decades of debt just to end up in a career I hated. The first 2 years of college were basically a blur. I took general math classes, science classes, language classes, and a bunch of random electives like music history and art appreciation. I went to a Big Ten school so people studied hard and partied hard. I got an education in beer consumption as a bonus. Honestly, those first 2 years felt more like an expensive summer camp than a serious investment in my future. I was paying thousands of dollars to sit in rooms learning things I would never use again while racking up debt that would follow me for years. Now here is where things got real. If you pick a degree in the sciences, you usually need grad school or some kind of specialization to get a decent job. A bachelor's in chemistry alone doesn't open many doors. So part of my degree required a ton of lab work, and I discovered something pretty quickly. I hated it. I absolutely could not stand mixing chemicals day after day, following boring, repetitive instructions and taking detailed notes on experiments. I didn't care about. I look around that lab and think to myself, is this really what I want to do for the next 8 years of my life? The answer was a hard no. I was on the wrong path and I knew it. So I started searching for a way out. I remembered taking a computer science class back in high school and actually enjoying it. It wasn't something I was passionate about at the time, but compared to spending my days in a chemistry lab, it sounded like heaven, so I figured why not give it a shot. I started looking at computer science internships and jobs online just to see what was out there, and the moment I started reading about what software developers actually do on a day-to-day basis, something clicked. I liked the idea way better than chemistry. But here is what really blew my mind. I realized that most of what I was learning in school would not even help me at these jobs. The classes I was taking, the exams I was cramming for the textbooks I was reading, none of it seemed to match what real companies were looking for. That was my first big wake-up call. I switched all my classes to computer science right away. But I kept getting stuck with these required filler classes that had nothing to do with my major. I was sitting in art history memorizing dates of paintings I'd never see in person. I was taking music classes analyzing composers who died hundreds of years ago. And I kept thinking, why am I paying for this? Why am I going into debt for this? None of this is helping me become a better programmer. None of this is helping me get a job. It felt like the system was designed to extract as much money from me as possible while giving me as little practical value in return. And you know what? I did terrible in my computer science classes. I was struggling to get a B or C average for the rest of college. I just did not care about these classes after seeing what I actually needed to know to succeed in real internships. The curriculum was outdated, the teaching methods were boring, the exams tested memorization more than actual problem solving. I started to feel like maybe I just wasn't cut out for this field. Maybe I had made another mistake. Then I got my first internship at a big company as a software developer, and that changed everything. I showed up on day one expecting to feel lost and unprepared. But instead, I found out I was totally fine. I could do the work, I could solve real problems, I could contribute to actual projects. And the big difference between school and the real job was that at work, I actually had internet access. I could look things up. If I didn't know something, I could Google it. I could ask my coworkers. I could read documentation. In school, you are locked in a room with nothing but your brain and a pencil. In the real world, you have all the resources of the internet at your fingertips, and you are judged on what you can produce, not what you can memorize. School almost ruined computer science for me. I thought I was bad at it because I was bombing exams that tested irrelevant material, but when it came time to actually do the job I was perfectly capable, that experience showed me how broken the education system really is. It is not set up to teach you how to succeed in the real world. It is set up to test your ability to survive in an artificial environment that doesn't exist anywhere outside of academia. So let me be clear about my situation. I did go to college, I did get a degree, and yes, I landed a job right after graduation after trying many different things on the surface. It looks like a solid path. Went to college, got a degree, got a good job, and so far it has worked out well for me. But let me tell you, the experience was not all sunshine and rainbows. It was not straightforward. And I have made several observations along the way that lead me to one strong conclusion. While college can be useful, I do not believe it is necessary to be successful and make good money. Let me share what I actually valued about my college education. It was a unique experience, and honestly, it helped me grow in a lot of ways. I found out what I didn't like doing, which was lab work, and I found out what I liked more, which was coding and computers. That is valuable, and I don't want to pretend. Otherwise, I would also say that the last 2 years of classes were much more specialized and actually helpful for my major. And sure, college helped me build a foundation in things like problem solving, working under pressure, and collaborating with others, but here is the real benefit that nobody talks about enough. I would call it the social education. I was an introvert in high school, kind of a stereotypical nerd, maybe one of the cooler nerds, but still buried in textbooks and studying all the time. The social atmosphere of being surrounded by thousands of people your age all going through the same phase of life was really valuable. I needed that to develop as a person. I value the connections I made just as much as the material I learned. If I am being honest, maybe even more. That social development is very important, especially in today's world and especially in the age of social media, where everyone is more isolated than ever. Can you get that social growth without college? Maybe, but it might be more difficult. Never in my life again have I been surrounded by that many people my age all at the same stage in life. So I am not going to pretend college has zero value. It does. The question is whether that value is worth the price tag. And that brings me to why I think college is a bad deal for most people. Let me break down the things that drove me crazy. Number one, the dumb courses. I had to take a bunch of general education classes that felt completely irrelevant to what I wanted to do. I was forced to pay my money to sit in classes that existed only as requirements to get credits to graduate. Why was I sitting in art history memorizing dates when I wanted to code? Why was I in a music class analyzing symphonies when I wanted to learn more about data structures and algorithms? Why did I have to study population problems and sociology when none of that would ever show up in my job? Even some of the math and algorithms classes seemed irrelevant, considering I can look up anything I need at my actual job using the internet. I'd say at least half of my classes were not relevant to my career and felt like almost a complete waste of time and money. It took until my internship and real-world experience to realize that most of what I was taught in school simply does not matter when you are actually working. Number two, the cost. The cost of college is absolutely astronomical. Now, student loans are a real burden that can weigh you down for decades. Paying them off can feel like a lifelong sentence. It is simply becoming too expensive to be feasible for the average person anymore. What might have been a reasonable career path 15 years ago is now a financial trap. If tuition is $20,000 per year and you are looking at $80,000 in debt for a degree that might get you a $50,000 salary, starting out the math just does not work. College is an investment now, and you have to be very careful that it will actually pay off with what you are earning after graduation. Most 18-year-olds have no idea how to calculate that. I certainly didn't. Number three, the speed problem. Industries move faster than education. A lot of the programming languages and tools I learned in school weren't even relevant a couple years later. The tech industry especially moves at lightning speed, and by the time you graduate, some of what you learned is already outdated. Meanwhile, your tuition bill is still due, your loans are still accumulating interest, and you are stuck learning things that the real world has already moved past. The internet has made memorization much less valuable than it used to be because you can look up anything instantly, but the school system still operates like it is the 1950s where you had to store all that information in your head. Number four, and this is the part that really irritates me. Society pushes college on you so hard. I had this idea drilled into my head that you have to go to college to be successful. It was automatic. Of course you go to college. What else would you do? I am frustrated with that blind. Just go to college propaganda. It worked out for me this time, but for many others, it could have ruined their life. I was never presented with alternatives. I never went through the economics of tuition versus expected salary. I never thought deeply about what I actually wanted or if there was another way to get there. The system just pushed me forward like a conveyor belt, and I went along with it like everyone else. Now, let me be fair. There are definitely situations where a degree is necessary. If you are pursuing a career in medicine, law, engineering, or any field where specialized knowledge and certification are required, college is pretty much a must. That is not going to change anytime soon. These fields are highly regulated, and you need that formal education to get licensed and practice professionally. So I am not saying college is useless for everyone, but here's the thing. Not every career path requires a degree. In fact, some of the most successful people in tech, business, and the arts either dropped out of college or skipped it altogether. I have worked with many great people, great engineers who did not attend college at all. Places like Google have even dropped their college degree requirement for some jobs. In fields like programming, entrepreneurship, digital media, and sales, what really matters is your skill set, your portfolio, your network, and your ability to adapt and sell yourself. Experience often trumps a diploma in these industries. At the end of the day, your degree is an investment, and you should only get it if there is a reasonable expectation that it can be paid off. So let me talk about some of the alternatives to a 4-year degree. The rise of trade schools comes to mind. More and more people are turning to trade schools to learn a specific skill like coding, plumbing, welding, or electrical work without the burden and cost of a traditional college degree. These programs are often shorter, more focused, and get you job ready in a fraction of the time at a fraction of the cost. You can avoid sitting in those stupid required classes that have nothing to do with your career. You can get trained in something that actually pays well and start earning money years before your college friends even graduate. The data backs this up too. Studies show that while college graduates typically have higher than average earnings, there is a growing number of self-motivated individuals who are bucking this trend. People who dive into trades, start businesses, or enter tech roles with nothing but a portfolio and determination. According to recent surveys, more than 30% of high-paying jobs in tech don't require a college degree. Instead, employers are looking for experience, specific skills, and a strong work ethic. Platforms like YouTube coding bootcamps and online courses have opened up a world of opportunities for people to learn at their own pace at a fraction of the cost of traditional education. What is crucial for those who skip college is self-motivation. Without the structured environment of college, you need to be driven to seek out learning opportunities, build your network, and continuously improve your skills. Those who succeed without a degree often have an entrepreneurial mindset and are relentless in their pursuit of knowledge and success. It is not the easy path, but it can be a much smarter path, especially if you are someone who learns better by doing than by sitting in a lecture hall. So here's my take. Is college necessary to make money in life? The answer isn't black and white, but I am going to say no, it is not. It can be useful, but it is not necessary. It really depends on what you want to do and how you want to get there. For some people, college is the right path and can help build a foundation for the rest of your life. For others, it is a financial trap that sets you back years and leaves you with nothing but debt and regret. If you are self-motivated and you know what you want, you might be able to get by without it. The key is to weigh your options, understand the real costs, and choose the path that aligns best with your goals and your values. Don't let anyone tell you there is only one way to succeed, because there isn't peace.